Today on the Topping Show, a GMC truck from the 90s sells for a little over $250,000 on Bring a Trailer. White liberals saying African Americans cannot get IDs goes viral. Judge Lydia Mugambe is arrested for owning slaves. She just also happens to have formerly worked for the United Nations on the human trafficking and slavery part. And snowmobiles are being recalled because they might accelerate and, whoops, not stop. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase with a Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. Lastly, try to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have a 32-year-old GMC SUV selling for just over $250,000, which is quite a pretty penny. Now this comes with thanks to Nico, who's a writer at thedrive.com. He says, quote, 32-year-old truck sells for $226,000. I thought we were done with this. A 1993 GMC Typhoon with 688 miles were sold for an astronomical amount on Bring a Trailer, bucking the trend of collector car pricing coming down. Which, I mean, it does look, as I was about to say the youth, as my grandpa would say, cherry. I mean, it's a nice red GMC Typhoon. It says truck with, SUV. It looks really nice. I don't know about $250,000. That's quite a pretty penny to say the least. That's a house in Iowa or a shed in DFW. Now, it looks like there's some more pictures of it as well here. Now he says, quote, I'm rarely surprised by car auction results these days, but this one did it. There was a time when everything on Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids during the pandemic was absolutely nuts, and it felt like even pedestrian cars were breaking auction records every week. However, in the last year or two, the pricing started to go down and they began normalizing. Then someone goes and drops $226,000 on a 1993 GMC Typhoon. Can't we be done with this? This author sounds disappointed. I mean, it's all granted, it's a special edition, I know that, but it's really because of the low miles, obviously. It's a collector, it's basically museum grade quality. I would assume the interior is also spotless. I mean, it just looked immaculate. I almost feel like Harrison Ford saying, it belongs in a museum. His voice is better than mine, obviously. The attempt was made, fell, but attempt was made. He said, let's try to figure out why someone would spend Porsche 911 GT3 money on a 32-year-old SUV. Because, different strokes, different folks. I would never buy a minivan. Ever. Yeah, I know some people spend $56,000 on a minivan. I find it abhorrent myself. But, I would never. Different folks. He says, for starters, it's pretty rare. GMC only made 4,697 Typhoons during the 2-year run, and just 345 of those were apple red. Which, once you start getting into those details, I automatically hear, my Corvette's best Corvette, which Corvettes are pretty cool, but that is a cliche stereotype. Now, they also say this specific example also only had 668 miles on it, making it minty fresh, and collectors are always willing to pay a premium for classics with triple-digit odometer readouts. Lastly, the Typhoon has quite a loyal following, as it was the first real American performance SUV, and at the time was one of the quickest vehicles on the market. Which, again, all these pictures look amazing. And it's a coupe, too. That's hilarious. Coupe SUV, even more rare. They said the Typhoon was basically an SUV version of the GMC Cyclone pickup truck, packing the same 4.3-liter turbocharged V6 that made 280 horsepower and 350 foot-pound of torque. But it made more sense in SUV form, because who needs to haul that much ass and haul lumber from Home Depot? A couple of us do. All that power fed through a four-speed automatic transmission to do all four wheels, helped it reach 60 miles per hour in 5.3 seconds back in the day, which very impressive for that time period. That made it quicker than a Ferrari 348 TS. That's awesome. The Typhoon also ran a quarter mile in 14.1 seconds, which nipped the Acura NSX heels back when it was still impressive. That's awesome. it did all of that on a body on frame SUV with a sticker price of $29,530, or less than half of the Ferrari cost. Which it says even if it even had self-leveling rear suspension in 1993, which again, that's pretty good. Now I'm curious. Let's look at the inflation calculator here. This might be a rare instance where this person actually beat the S&P 500 and inflation on a vehicle, which never happens. So let's pull up the inflation calculator right here. So 1993 is, let's round up to $30,000. All right, well, if I can type, that usually helps. $30,000, 1993. Be about $67,128.05 today. So they definitely beat inflation on this. Now the only other question is this really a good investment? Is this really a smart idea? Spoiler, majority of the time, no, absolutely not a smart idea. Let me pull up one of those fun little calculators for the S&P 500. Where's that bookmark for that one? There we go. Got too many bookmarks. So that's rounding to $30,000 over the course of 35 years. So let's see here. Oh, minimize that pop-up. $30,000. Let's see here. Let's see here. The $30,000 over, how many years ago? Is that 35 years? Am I making, I think, oh, 32 years. There you go. Let's see, 30, 50, yeah, 32 years. Nope, still trash. Yeah, never invest in vehicle. I guess I should legally say for the Facebook and, or no, for the YouTube and the lawyers, not financial advice. However, if you put $30,000 into the S&P 500 index account, given the historical data, again, historical data is not, indicative of the future. You have to have the disclaimer. But if in that time, in, what was it, what year was that? In 1993, instead of spending $30,000 for an SUV, if you put $30,000 into the S&P 500, you would have had $726,281. So yes, it is still a stupid idea to buy cars and treat them as investments. That's why I tell people it's the dumbest thing you could possibly do. So even though this is really cool and it went for a lot of money, it's still, they lost out on $500,000. Because again, you have got $726,000 just doing nothing, just throwing in the S&P 500 index fund. This you have to actually worry about. Well, this actually the ROI is even better for the S&P article or argument, because that thing you have to store it, preserve it, presumably have insurance of some type on it, even if it's just catastrophic insurance, acts of God, or the garage burns down, you want to be covered. So yeah, even with all that, it's still a loser investment. Again, it's cool this this person made all this money off this SUV, but if they just put $30,000 back in the day in the S&P 500 index, we would have had $726,281. The beauty of compound interest is a lovely thing. But yeah, fun fact. I was wondering, do they beat it? No. That's right. Historically speaking, the only cars that beat the S&P 500 index, I believe, were the Ferrari GTO, which again is a huge outlier. It's worth millions upon millions upon millions of dollars today, as well as, I believe, the Pontiac, hilariously enough, also GTO, the Pontiac Judge GTO as well. Again, it is so hard to beat that metric or that investment mechanism that is mutual funds. It is, that's why it's so rare for it to happen. But yeah, as cool as this SUV is, it still isn't. I mean, still a dumb buy by the person who bought it. Now, they also say, quote, "This specific one is in great shape as you'd expect. It looks like it was driven from the dealership to hermetically sealed garage and only woke from its three-decade-long slumber for this morning. The only downside is that such originality in its old set of Firestone tires, which should be replaced if the new owner actually wants to drive it, which, yeah, for safety reasons, you definitely want to switch out those tires. I mean, the interior looks immaculate. Ugh, automatic transmission, how boring is that? I'll never understand how some people will buy that. It is cool to see the old gauges. I'm a fan of the actual analog gauges, not the digital. It was cool to see the actual analog odometer. It's like, oh, blast from the past. There's a nice clean engine bay looking immaculate as you'd expect. So again, it's really cool. A lot of people are saying, oh yeah, the writer's saying, what would you buy if you had $226,000? You buy a condo in a new Civic Type R, which can't go wrong with the Civic. Those things are awesome. I'd love to get the new Civic Type R one of these days. Though I still love my 2018 Civic Si. But yeah, a really cool thing to sell. But yeah, I guess I should reiterate for the umpteenth time, not financial advice. In this case, this owner still lost out on it. They made $500,000 less. And they're lucky this thing sold because the market for low mileage collector cars is very, very niche, to say the least. But still some pretty cool automotive news I thought I'd share today. And let me know, I mean, if you had this gem of a car and you got to sold it, so you got, well, don't forget the taxman's going to steal that, which is a higher rate than long-term capital gains tax, but I partially digress. Let's say you sold this and you still have about $195,000 after taxes. What would you use with that money? What kind of car would you get? Let me know in the comments because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the Cultural Proud podcast, you have white liberals saying African Americans don't know how to get IDs yet again. It's as if they never seek out actual information or talk to actual African Americans. Spoiler, they got IDs because they're just like you and I. Spoiler, my family came from Cuba. Guess what? We all got IDs. Pretty simple. Pain in the ass for the DMV, obviously. The ineptitude of the government is pinnacly embodied in the experience of the DMV. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Now, this comes with thanks to End Wokeness, in which he says, quote, white liberals and black people are asked if they think voter ID is racist. Result. Here you can see this specific. Yeah, here we go.
Have an opinion on voter ID laws?
Yeah.
Have an opinion on voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad.
I think voter ID laws are a way to perpetuate racism.
Would you go as far as say those laws are racist?
For sure.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us how.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other.
DMVs are all over. Also, there's things like the bus and walking and friends who have cars or vehicles. Or Uber or Lyft. Or helicopter, a funny third thing.
Places where they can get identification.
You can always get IDs you do over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain.
He thinks having the internet is a burden. We live in the day where the market saturation of smartphones is near 100% in the United States. Like nearly everyone has them.
Fees.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
How insulting is that? They don't have the knowledge of how it works.
A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data. For most of the community.
If you have a smartphone, you don't have data. You know what's pretty much free at every restaurant and every public venue? The Wi-Fi or the Wi-Fi. Granted, for cybersecurity reasons, I don't recommend using that. I would definitely want to do banking over the Starbucks Wi-Fi, but they have free Wi-Fi if you want to do crap on there. I don't recommend it. You always, get a VPN or something, but it's like they have free Wi-Fi at most of those places, even if this rare instance where you don't have a data plan.
They don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or they're not informed. I also think there's a repression of black voting with how if you're a convicted felon, you're not allowed to vote and everything. And
well, that's not just, it's not like it's only African Americans convicted felons can't vote. That's every convicted felon can't vote. Yeah, all these liberal white gals. Let's just say dating in 2025. It's not an easy feat.
You look at swing states like Florida,
Florida, a swing state, has not been a swing state for quite some time, honey.
A huge population of them.
Also knows a high propensity. There's a high correlation of these nose rings too. They all have them.
Of the African Americans.
Now I'm here in East Harlem to ask black people their thoughts on what you just heard. Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID?
These are racist morons.
That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes.
Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID, so we know what we need to carry around.
Everybody that I know have ID. That's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with, ID.
Do you know any black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What is this, some type of trick candy cameras?
I know, right? That's the only thing I brought with me.
Those are legit IDs. I heard a lot also that black people can't figure out how to get to the DMV.
Really?
What does that say to you?
I know it's at 125th Street.
Do you know where the DMV is around you?
It's on 125th Street and 3rd Avenue, I believe.
You know how to get there?
Directions.
Yeah.
Would you have a problem getting there if you had to get there?
No.
I know these sound like silly questions. You know how to get to the DMV?
Of course.
You know where it is?
Yes.
You can get there?
Uh-huh.
No problem.
No problem.
Just checking.
Okay.
And I also heard a lot that black people, especially poor black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
That's just stupidity, honestly. Everybody has access to the internet. Even a little kid can figure out how to work the internet.
I had access to the internet for years.
You know how to use it properly, right?
Exactly. I do it at work. So, of course, I know how to use it. My kids know how to use it. They all have iPads, iPods, whatever.
Your phone has data?
Mm-hmm.
You can access the
Unlimited.
internet with unlimited data.
Mm-hmm. I use my phone as a hotspot.
What does that say to you for the people who have this perception of black people?
They're pretty much ignorant. That's what my thought process was.
I just think that's ignorant. Ignorant.
Ignorant. That's the word I'm hearing a lot.
Ignorant.
Yep.
Very, very ignorant.
Does it sound racist for somebody to say that?
I think it is a little racist because, you know, you're putting people in a category and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe a little bit of racist in it, but like I said, I think it's more stupidity and ignorance.
You're judging somebody, like, but you're judging them because they black, saying that they don't got it.
What people are they talking to? Who are these people talking to?
Do you have a problem that if you go to vote and they say, can we please see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are? Are you cool?
Love showing my ID.
You got no problem with that?
Nope.
Would you have a problem if when you go to vote, if they say, can we please just see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are? Do you have an issue with that?
No.
Would you have a problem if there was a rule where you have to show your ID in order to vote?
I don't think so. No.
Would you have an issue if there was a rule saying you got to show your ID before you vote?
Nah.
Are you cool with that?
It's like these college kids or these liberals will never learn. They still think it's a burden to get ID. I can't but think they seem authentically stupid. Like, I don't think they're clever enough, at least the ones that the gentleman interviewed, in terms of when they were saying, oh yeah, we think it's burdensome to get the ID. Now, I think some leaders of the Democrat Party are pushing that because they know without IDs you can cheat. It is a fascinating coincidence that a majority of the states, what was it, 13 to 15 states that Kamala Harris won, did not require voter ID. A fascinating coincidence, don't you think? Now, this went pretty viral, got 2.2 million views and 48,000 likes. One of the first ones coming from Wokeness said credited to Ami Horowitz. He is AMIHOW. His Twitter profile is described as filmmaker, guerrilla journalist. His name is AMIHOWOWITZ. Again, his hashtag handle is AMIHOROWIZ. Gunther Eagleman also says Democrats the party of racism gained 1.8 thousand likes. Libercat Media TM has a picture of, I don't know what crappy movie this is, but one gal and everyone's pointing at her. It says white liberals see themselves whenever they post something pro or black. Gained 1,000 likes. Paul Zupa says conclusion: white liberals are racist. Gained 435 likes. Yep. Wayne Dunlop has a picture of Candace Owens, and it's a quote. It says, quote, black people know how to get IDs. Pretending we are too stupid to figure out how to get to the DMV is an insult and speaks volumes about the Democrats truly think of us. Yep, gained 349 likes. Adrian Harris says, quote, liberals are so condescending it's not even funny. They act like black people don't know how to get an ID. How do black people drive if they don't get an ID? How do black people fly if they can't get an ID? As a black person, I find this tremendously insulting. Gained 574 likes. Oh, this is priceless. Kathy Hochul, the more morally, mentally vacuous leader, governor of New York, said that, oh yeah, they don't know how to use computers. Which, this is credited to Linda Lau, who reposted this, saying Democrats are elite racist. Our governor thinks black kids don't know how to use computers. Whereas, hilarious, because kids pretty much of every race knows how to use computers better than most parents. They learn pretty damn quick. But yeah, she was like, oh yeah, they don't know how to use. Well, I'll let her speak for herself.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions through technology, then you're really addressing society's broader challenges.
Yeah, insulting and moronic. Bez Catchy Hochul got 102 likes. Let's see. John's Memes, A+ for marketing. He did in fact respond in meme form. Has a picture of meme of a guy and girl eating dinner. And the girl goes, I blame white people for everything. And he says, it's so cool you're so open about your mental illness. Gangs 13 likes. I should get more than that. I'll give him a like. Someone by the name of Life. Very open profile. That could be everything. But nevertheless, Life says, quote, she basically said voter IDs are racist because black people don't know how to use the internet. Getting 1,000 likes. Brett Casey says, how is your ID racist? Such a dumb argument. And they say, are they saying black people don't get IDs? This seems like racist view. Getting 39 likes. Yep. SF Buck Dog saying, genuine question. How can people be this stupid? Getting 131 likes. It's college indoctrination. That's how. All the professors teach the same exact thing. It's groupthink. The last true Roman. It has been almost 3 days since I thought about the fall of the Roman Empire, so I appreciate them bringing this to my attention again. Saying, quote, white liberal women are the biggest problem of the entire West has got, let alone the U.S. They vote on sound bites, vibes, and the right thing. No research or intellect at all. It's insane because they end up supporting migrants and transgender madness, which hurts them the most. Getting 701 likes, which that is kind of dark humor, ironic in terms of getting what you vote for. But yeah, when you look at the rates of who has the most mental health issues, yeah, the white gals, the liberal gals are the ones that have the highest rate. Let's see here. Someone has Wayne Dunlop has a list of all like 150 million things you need for to have an ID to do. And then the one thing that you don't need is voting. In some states, like 134 likes. Coach Dale says, there's nobody more racist than white liberals. They don't want to end racism. They sell it, getting 205 likes. They certainly raise a lot of funds on it, that's for sure. And it definitely seems to be cornerstone of their whole ideology. But yeah, I think the average American is fed up with this blatant crap, and I think Democrats will consider to lose votes because of this. And I think we're going to see a cultural shift of more and more people saying, yeah, that's ridiculous. Everyone can get an ID. It's not an issue. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have Judge Lydia Mugambe arrested for owning slaves. She just so happened to work at the former globalist hellhole of the UN as part of the Slavery and Human Trafficking Division, which, yeah, I never liked those gun-grabbing Marxists at the UN. Yeah, another reason not to like them. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Wokeness, in which he says, quote, Judge Lydia Mugambe worked at the UN on the slavery and human rights trafficking. She just got arrested for owning a slave. Which, yeah, I'm not too surprised. And, well, maybe she has a very articulate defense. Maybe she's all understanding. She's trying to help the person. Maybe it's all understanding. Obviously not, but we'll hear what she has to say.
So unfortunately, I'm going to have to now arrest you on suspicion of keeping somebody in slavery and servitude under the Modern Slavery Act. So you don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned, something which later on in court,
Officer,
anything you do say may be used as evidence. All right. Sorry?
I am a judge in my country. I even have immunity. I am not a criminal.
You've got immunity in this country?
Yes. I have a diplomatic passport.
You're a diplomat?
Yes.
So we'll need to see that then.
Yes.
And then we'll need to speak to the embassy if you are a diplomat.
I came here as a student. I don't need to work for.
So.
Diplomat community. Straight to jail. I'm only partially kidding. Obviously, she gets her day in court. It'll be interesting to see what the result is. And this already got 1.8 million views and 84,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Wokeness says, quote, Mugambe was also on a human rights fellow at, really? So I'll restart that quote. Mugambe was also a human rights fellow at Columbia University, getting 3.8 thousand likes. You also have Gunther Eagleman says, can't make this shit up, getting 885 likes. Anti-woke memes, A+ for marketing. They did in fact respond in meme form, says, quote, after all this time, and then there's a picture of the donkey, says, the Democrat Party has never apologized for slavery, getting 233 likes. Strike for America says, it's okay when we do it. It's a picture of that judge, getting 397 likes. Really? I thought there's the rest. There's an article from a couple days later that says, from Florida One Now, says, quote, defund the UN is like USAID on steroids. Well, that's true. And this is an article. Where is this from? Damn it. Okay, they didn't give us a URL to the article. But it's an article from some site that says, UN judge found guilty of forcing young women to work as slave Lydia Mugambe forced the young woman to work as her maid and provide free childcare. And yeah, she looks extra evil. Right in front of that globalist UN sign. Getting 1.2 thousand likes. Let's see here. Justin Nospan says she had a fellowship at Columbia too. There's another article that says she was actually convicted. Let's see here. Ida Mercado says, quote, picture of modern slave day owner. Surprise, surprise. And it's just a screenshot of her. She's a African-American woman that got 1.3 thousand likes. I don't know what's going on with X today. Maybe another cyber attack, but the comments are loading slower than molasses. Keep you in that error. Something went wrong. And yet, I do I work in IT. The cliche is you blame it on the network. Spoiler alert, it's usually, okay, sometimes it is the network. But yeah, I do network assessments or, I'll check the traffic speed and everything before the show and it'll be fine. But can never be too upset because if IT worked perfectly, that'd be pretty much all my job gone. Do one more time to reload the whole page. Maybe we'll get lucky. Oh, there we go. Come on, Elon. Need more servers? What's happening here? And they have just more pictures of her. But yeah, it's quite devastating that slavery is actually more popular in terms of it happens more often in the globe today than it has ever before. And yet, and one of the reasons why I'm a big proponent of every human deserves the right to defend themselves. Obviously, the Second Amendment, that this thing cannot happen. You have Alpha Bravo saying, quote, black people have black slaves in Africa and no one talks about it. Getting 1.9 thousand likes. Yep. Also, it happens a lot in the Middle East, too. Again, it should not happen. And yet it's happening more and more in modern times. It's disgusting and I don't think the average person realizes how that this problem is growing as well. Of all the things our country does, for freedom, can't help but think, shoot, maybe we do something about that. I'm mostly isolationist, but I mean, geez Louise, of all the time to help people out, if you're being forced into slavery, that's the time. Gunther Eagleman also says can't pick this shit up. Get 885 likes. So yeah, as if you needed yet another reason not to trust the UN, here's another case in point. And let me know, are you surprised by this and ultra irony, or do you think there's no coincidence that she actually worked in the division she's supposed to be protecting people from slavery and she forced it? But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have snowmobiles being recalled because they might, they won't stop speeding, rather, which ain't great, especially when you consider how much people are paying for these things. This comes to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, which they say, quote, Bombardier Recreational Products recalls Ski-Doo and Lynx snowmobiles due to crash hazard, which, at least they didn't have to recall one of their planes. There you can see an up-close image of one of those Ski-Doos. No, that was a snowmobile. Which, yeah, spoiler alert, they cost about as much as a car. And, yeah, to me, they should have the utmost quality assurance. Now they say, quote, this recall involves certain model year 2025 Ski-Doo and Lynx snowmobiles equipped with the 600R E-Tech and 850 E-Tech or 850 E-Tech Turbo R engine. Branded Ski-Doo, the model name and the engine type are printed on the side panels of the vehicle, which make that slightly bigger there, or slightly easier to read. Look at that. That looks pretty cool. Sure you have a James Bond film. Look at all those color combos. Jeez Louise. A little disappointed there's no green combo. Well, they have a fun yellow color. But nevertheless, they note that the vehicle identification number is on the decal inside the right-hand tunnel underneath the seat. Dealers can check the VINs included in the recall. They're sold in a myriad of color combinations. Now, they note that the remedy consumers should immediately stop using the recalled snowmobile and contact a BRP dealer to schedule a free appointment. The dealers will inspect the ECM and throttle body and look for any ECM lower mount support broken. If found, dealers will remove the detached part and replace the ECM free of charge. They're also contacting all known users. Now, the issue is the engine control module lower mount support could have broken in production and left a loose part inside of the engine compartment, allowing it to enter the throttle body and could lead to a stuck throttle. So in other words, the throttle is stuck wide open and you can't stop. It just goes faster and faster and faster. Whoops, which not good. This affects about 4,144 units in addition to 2,025 that are sold in Canada. Now, they also note that these are sold at, again, BRP Ski-Doo Links dealers nationwide from February 2024 to November 2024. These will be for between $10,000 and $20,000, which, and that's a nice used Honda Civic Si right there for a toy. Or I guess if you live in Antarctica or Alaska, a utilitarian thing to get to work, I would suppose. And, I mean, thankfully, no one's been injured. They got somewhat ahead of this. They did receive 4 reports of the stuck throttle being open, but no injuries reported yet. Now, this recall number is 25-188. These are manufactured in Canada, interestingly enough. And they're going to be reaching out to everyone so they can inspect it, make sure, if there is an issue, they'll fix it. But again, I would be pretty irate if I spent, geez, how much? That's so much money. $20,000. $20,000 on one of these snowmobiles. And yeah, it might have an issue where it just, stays throttle wide open, which I don't know who's in charge of the quality assurance department to miss such a big thing. Gotta say, that quality tech, or maybe the lack of existence of that bombardier, going to have to call you the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, you can give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.